Hi everyone, Bandanner here, and welcome back to WARNO League Season 0.5. This is it. It all comes down to this game. Who goes through to the semi-finals between Lathans and Tman? These guys were in the final together last time on this map. It's Vertigo Duel. Last time, Lathans took the trophy, took the prize money. Can Tman beat him this time and take the lead to go into the semi-finals and make a run for the finals once more? In this game, Tman is playing once again as the 39th Infantry, and Lathans will be playing as the 1st British Armoured, a deck he really favours in the ranked ladder, so we'll see what he can do with it here. But first, let's have a look at Tman's 39th deck. Now, looking at this briefly, you may think it's the same deck that he had in the first game. It's actually very slightly different, and it took me a moment to spot it as well. So let's run through it, and I'll tell you the change when we get there if you haven't spotted already. So MTLBs here and the Urals once more. Obviously plenty of supply for a 1v1. BTR 60 command, nice and fast, gets around the place quickly if necessary. Then we've got a couple of squads of Motorstrelki. We've got a Sapri, we've got Motorstrelki Metis, we've got Conkers, Motorstrelki BMP ×2 in the BMP2, and then 2 sets of Motorstrelki RPG-22 in the BMP3, and finally a Sapri Commander. No changes so far. Then we've got artillery in the form of a D20 152mm howitzer set, and then an Uragan. Again, no mortars here for Tman. In the tank tab, we've got the same again. 2 cards of T80Bs, 4 cards of T80BVs, and the 1 card of T80BVK. Obviously, having a Sapri Commander here, he has reasonable amount of commands, 6 in total here. That's not as many as a lot of people bring for a 1v1. Usually people aim for over 6, but, you know, it's probably enough for what he needs here. Depends on the map a lot, you see, as well. Razvedka, Mot Razvedka, and Mi-24K here. Mi-24K, obviously a very, very strong chopper, especially against the 1st British Armoured, because they have forward deployment troops, but no forward deployment anti-air, so a recon helicopter could do them some early damage if Lathans chooses to bring out some forward deployment units. In the AA tab, we have Iglas, Strellas, and Cub. Pretty much standard affair for the anti-air here. Now, here's the big change. In that first game, he had Mi-24 rocket attack choppers. This time, he's gone for the Mi-24V anti-air choppers. This is a bit of a change. I think it's on the basis that he knows Lathans will bring out aircraft to deal with these pretty early on, and Lathans has some fairly cheap aircraft that these can actually fire back on and deal damage to. So I suspect that's one of the reasons for the change there. And another reason could also be he's more concerned about those forward deployment infantry from the 1st Armoured rather than he's concerned about the tanks, whereas last time, obviously, with the rocket variant, they have the Concon missile as well to deal with enemy tanks, and perhaps he's just not as concerned with that this time. But obviously, I'm just spitballing, I'm not a complete mind reader. And then we've got 2 cards of the MiG-23, same as before, and a MiG-27K. So yeah, the big change there is the helicopters. He's switched into these anti-air ones, which is obviously, you know, they pose a bit of a threat to jets coming in, especially slower jets and things, because they can fire back at them. Alright, let's move over to Lathans' deck. So, the 1st Armoured. Fantastic deck. Lathans, as I say, likes them a lot in the ranked ladder. How do they perform here? We'll have to see. Rover Command, you get 3 of them. Good choice. 2 Bedford supply trucks and a Chinook supply, bringing as much supply as possible. We've got the Milan 2s there. We've got the Terriers, Paras, Carl Gustav. Now, bringing those out against Tman in this situation is going to be risky. Forward deploying them isn't going to be ideal. Then we've got some Assault Pioneers. We've got rifles. We've got arm rifles in the Warrior Milan, times 3 cards there. And that's it for infantry. We're then on to mortars and the M109A2. In the tank section, we have Chieftain Mark 11 commands, 4 of them in total, or 2 cards. We've got the Chieftain Mark 9, the Chieftain Mark 11, Mark 11 coming in 2 cards, so 8 in total, and the Challenger Mark 2s, 2 cards of those. No Challenger Mark 3s here, he's not bothering with that. Then we've got the Scimitar and the Fox for recon vehicles. We've got the Scouts Law 80, very useful scout unit, very good at killing vehicles. And we've got the SAS Patrol. Next up for anti-air, we have the Javelin LML and the Tractor Rapier. Not a lot of Tractor Rapiers here, 6 in total. Sometimes you see people take 2 cards of these. Obviously, Lathan's hoping he's not going to have to deal with a lot of aircraft, but I'd be a little bit concerned about the helicopters here. His own helo tab, obviously a bit lacking. It's the first armored. He's got Gazelle rockets, and he's got the Lynx Helm. They are useful in certain situations. They have a utility, but the Gazelles die very quickly. The Lynxes die pretty quickly, and the Lynx's Helm, it's a good missile when it hits. Air tab is quite big here, so we have 4 Tornado F3 AAs, Harrier GR3 HE2s, 1 card of 3. We've got the Jaguar HE2 bomber, which is a dive bomber. We've got the Tornado Seed, and we've got the Tornado HE bomber. Lots of HE bombers here. I suspect that's due to the spread not being what Lathans would want on the Tornado cluster bomber, but obviously a lack of a cluster bomber here against another tank deck, maybe he'll come to regret that. It's hard to say. Obviously he's not going to do as much damage with the HE bombs as perhaps he would be with a cluster bomber to these vehicles. But let's see how it pans out for these two. Let's get into the game. So, Lathans is over on the left in blue as the 1st British Armoured, and over on the right in red we have Tman as the 39th Infantry. I think we can safely have a look at what Tman's got down, because I think he must be somewhere near now. I'm going to hide that because we're live anyway. Razvedka, 1 pushing into Delta, 1 pushing into Charlie. Generally speaking, the player at this side of the map, Tman's side of the map, does usually secure these early on. Lathans does have the option of forward deployment troops though, which could put a stop to that, but whether he utilizes that, I'm not sure. Razvedka moving up here for Tman. I've seen a few people do this recently. I don't know if everyone's just copying Tman, but quite a few people putting recon into that little strip of trees there. Whereas it used to just go in the corner of this, but now everyone's putting it in there. It's a recent change. I don't know why. We have some Modostrelki and Conkers. Conkers going up to the middle to stop anything pushing through there. And the Modostrelki just heading up to that building. Funny placement for Modostrelki as well, rather than going up towards Alpha to stop stuff coming down that road. They're quite far back. Also an Igla gone down there. I get the feeling that Tman is going to go aggressive here and just try and hold this side. He's actually got rid of the AA. Oh, BMP2's gone down. It's really fascinating. I wonder what goes through their heads when they're placing this for such a high-level tournament game. Tman usually explains why he's doing what he's doing. I think these Mi-24s are potentially the scary thing. The question is whether Lathans is expecting it. He does generally prepare himself for helicopters. There's BMP-2 and Estrella here as well, all just pushing up to there. But it's those choppers that might make the difference. In the middle there, BMP-2s, Modostrelki, a Cub, a Command, and a Supply. Interesting. The Command's going to Foxtrot and then over to Alpha immediately. Which surprises me more because it didn't... It surprises me because Tman just isn't sending anything into Alpha. Everything he's got is just sort of covering the center and there. But he's got nothing going up to Alpha except that Command then. Maybe hoping to throw Lathans off to make him think he's got more stuff there? Question mark, question mark. Over at this side. Just a couple of SAS patrol pushing up here. One going into that tree line, one going into the trees there. Lathans isn't even going to bother pushing into the points with those forward troops. probably sensible because he would get chewed up by the helicopters. Got a scimitar heading up to this side, just going into the tree line. Then he's got a javelin, some arm rifles and a warrior and a command heading over that way. Both players going pretty defensive at the top here and going pretty aggressive for Delta and Charlie. The game begins. We'll just have a look at what Lathans is sending in here. Tracked Rapier, a Chieftain, Command, a Mortar straight away, Javelin, LML, and a couple of arm rifles, 4 in total in Warriors, another Chieftain, and a Tracked Rapier at the back there as well. I'm just looking at where they're being deployed. They're sort of being sent along this road and then deployed all along it. Quite an interesting opening. Often Lathans likes to push the top, but it's not as effective in the dual version of this map because you can't push through to a back point because they don't exist in those two little town or industrial areas at the top there. I'll switch over to my controller and get it zoomed in because it's all about what happens to these choppers at the start. I'm waiting. Yeah, I was going to say that's exactly what I was waiting for. Top left of the screen, tornado coming in for those choppers immediately. Bear in mind those choppers can fire at the jet. They are anti-air choppers. Do get some good hits on it. Tornado goes down. Lathans will not be happy with that. But the Mi-24s are pulling back. Mi-24's pushing around the bottom against this SAS patrol. Lathan's pulling back. He's got to wait for the tracked rapiers to arrive, really. He can't just go in with anything else. Lathan's at a +1, but only temporarily. As we said, both players pretty much defensive only at the top. The thing that's going on here, which is not good for Tman, is Lathans has managed to get these units in and deploy them. So, this is great for Lathans. He can get into this tree line. And ideally, in the, an ideal world, Tman would have used those Mi-24s to stop this happening. But Lathans waited until his anti-air had arrived before he had these coming in as well. He avoided falling into the trap of bringing in lots of forward deployment troops. Because forward deployment troops just get minced by Mi-24s. The reality is, it now looks at the moment like Lathans has the bigger force here, but he needs to use those tracked rapiers very well and very carefully. Because once those Mi-24s come back in, they'll be looking for kills on those arm rifles and any vehicles at the front. A little bit of smoke down for Lathans, and now switch to just bombarding with that mortar. Lathans loves using mortars to harass. Now, Tman, obviously a good player, knows that he can use Mi-24s defensively. You don't have to be aggressive with helicopters. You can just use them to hold the line and try and keep them out of harm's way and kill anything that pushes forward. And I suspect that's what we're going to see Tman do here. And smoking off again. I'm not sure what the big plan is here by Lathans using that smoke there. Oh, he's off. Pushing in. BMP-2 and T-80 already engaging on those units trying to push out. Chieftain Mark 11's pushing up as well. There's a Challenger Mark 2 on the way in, but not there yet. T80BV is a problem. Another T80BV moving in as well. Here come the Mi-24s. Where are the tracked rapiers? Not in range to fire. I think one of the tracked rapiers is actually dead, and one of them is just too far back. Oh no, it is alive. It's opened up now. Now it's dead. Now it's dead. T80BV got it. Smoke going down again. But well held by Tman, who has a +2 currently. Lathans would love to kill these Mi-24s, but he's not going to get to. And his little assault force took a lot of damage there. He still has a command tank though. The command tank survived. Some more chieftains coming in. There's a challenger already at the front now. Absolutely nothing happening at the other side of the map. Neither player even calling in any reinforcements up there yet. I expect Lathans is going to push Charlie here, this bottom point. Just due to the positioning, it's going to be easier for him to move in. That said, there's not a lot in this point either for Tman. Tman doing a lot with those helicopters there, to be honest, in that fight. And all three of those helicopters did get out alive. Lathans will need more anti-air up here. Jet coming in for Lathans. Harrier bomber. Oh, it's a Seed. Going for the Cub. Gets a kill on the Cub. Nice. I know Lathans likes to use Harriers in this deck. Possibly we'll see those coming in after the Seed. Tman with his T80BVs here. Moved further around to try and stop this push. Lathans making good use of the tree line though. Jaguar HE bomber coming in. Drops on a tank. Does quite a bit of damage. Doesn't get the kill though. The Jaguars are dive bombers. That's really weird about them. Sorry about that. Sometimes they're a bit funny. Laser got a bomber coming in. Going for a kill on the Challenger. Oh, couldn't see it anymore as it dropped the bomb, so missed. That would have been a nasty loss for Lathans. Seed still flying around freely here. Tornado came in. Didn't manage to get the kill on the laser guided bomber. Once again, we're going to see a battle for the air between these two. But just as important is what happens on the ground here. And Lathans is making progress. He's managed to get his infantry all the way to the other side of this point. And that means he could potentially move a command in there. I'm sure he would like to clear out some of these T-80s though. MiG-23 is trying to act as a deterrent at the moment. I feel like Lathans is once again hoping that Tman overextends by having his seed just fly around at the back. Finally seeing some reinforcements called in at the other side of the map there for Tman. And they look like ATGMs, so probably defensive in nature. Conker's coming in at this side as well. We haven't seen Lathans move his command tank. It's still just sat in this tree line. I thought he might have tried to move it round the back into this point. As currently it's still +2 to Tman. He is bringing in another Chieftain Mark 11 command. I'm surprised that he hasn't moved his existing command tank. The reason I'm surprised is because obviously letting Tman have a +2 for any extended length of time isn't ideal. I mean, the big joke is, potentially, and Lathans won't know this till after the game, he could have moved his rover command out the top of this point, across here, and into here, without it being shot at. But Lathans doesn't know that. He doesn't see that area. He just assumes Tman has ATGMs in there already. But Tman didn't leave his command up there. So, there was potential. It's not an obvious thing to do, don't get me wrong. It just suddenly came to mind. Lathans trying to push here again. Doing a little bit of damage, but the Mi-24s are coming back in. There's no AA in range of them at the moment. Feels like Tman has this locked down pretty well right now. Chieftain Mark 11 command finally coming in at the back there. It's a long reinforcement route on this map. I mentioned that in another cast I did recently over on YouTube, and people often forget that. I don't think these guys would, but a lot of people do forget how long it takes to get from that reinforcement point to the front line. And when it's something slow like a tank, it is a very long period. Seed coming in here. Jaguar and 2 tornadoes. This is to waste some anti-air missiles. Only Strella's in at the moment though. Get a kill on an Mi-24 finally. HE bomber coming in, going for a kill on the AA. One HE bomber goes down, tornado goes down. Another Warrior Milan goes down, the MiG-23 goes down. Chaos in the skies. Command finally arrives in Charlie for Lathans. Tornado gets out. And the Tornado HE also gets out. But Tman, with a huge lead of 702 points in this game, and still holding firm in the industrial zone. And one of those Mi-24s is still there being annoying. On full health. Lathans trying to just pick off units here and there, but mostly only getting BMPs. Ideally, he wants to be getting the T-80s. Just not happening at the moment. Tman being very good today with his tank micro. Engaging, pulling back, engaging, pulling back. And this is how Lathans was caught out in a previous match against Sotek in the tournament. Sotek was doing amazing tank micro in exactly the same position as Tman is right now. And just held for ages. More reinforcements arriving at the top there for Tman. A few more bits and pieces arriving up there for Lathans as well. I'm not sure either is really in the position to do a heavy push. Tornadoes chasing down the MiG-23. Going for a kill on the chopper again. Get the kill. I mean, the helicopters are one of the major things stopping Lathans doing a push. So if he can clear them up, that'll really help him progress. The Chieftain Mark 11 coming in for Lathans. Both players mainly building up forces at the moment. Obviously, to me it looks like Tman is building up potentially for a push at the top. He's bringing in more tanks, he's bringing in infantry, he's bringing in anti-air up there. It certainly seems to be swinging that way. I don't feel like we've seen a lot coming in for Lathans in the last few minutes though. He's calling in chieftains at the top now. See those at the top left of the screen there coming in to head to this area. Lathans marking up the anti-air. Tman being careful not to bring out any more cubs at the moment though. Scimitar destroyed up at the top by the Razvedka. Warrior Milan destroyed here by the T-80BV that's moving up. Yeah, Lathans has spent a lot on his Air Force. Mainly, I think, so that he can deal with the Mi-24s. Lathans doesn't have a lot here. It will help when he gets the Chieftain Mark 9s there. But they're kind of stalemated right now. Milan 2 engaging from the side there in the reinforcements. Doesn't get a hit on the supply truck though. It's weird for a game between these two to be so quiet. Marker goes down the Milan 2. Oh, anti-air goes down. Nice hit on the Strela. Milan looking for a shot on a T-80 now, but goes down. T-80 is dealing with that very effectively. Jets in at the other side of the map for Lathans. A little bit of movement over there by Tman, just pushing up his infantry a bit. HE bomber coming in. Taking out the infantry in the building. Motostrelki is still pushing there, getting strafed by Lathans tornadoes. Tornadoes take a hit. One tornado goes down. MiG-23 coming in. Markers going down on those AA pieces. Yeah, Lathans has realised and is certainly calling in more at the top of the map now to cover that. It's very quiet right now. I don't like it. BMP2 goes down this side. Left-hand scout's going to push up to that building for some better eyes on. Looks like there's also going to be some arm rifles and warriors coming up this way potentially. But very much stalemated. We're at the halfway time point in this game now. We are past 20 minutes and Tman still has a big lead on points. Sooner or later, Lathans has to make a move. Tman could just sit with this locked down. He's already won if he does that. The onus is on Lathans to progress. He has to be aggressive somewhere. Obviously, ideally, being aggressive at multiple parts of the map at the same time is ideal. Even against very skilled players. It's still a good distraction, having to split your attention. Chieftain Mark 11 Command coming in for this top point as well. Seed coming in, looking to waste. I think that Seed is mainly looking to waste AA missiles. Oh, Uragan in for Tman. Dishing out the damage. Look at that. This is my forest. You should leave it. Get out. Artillery, the great dislodger. Very good call in by Tman. An expensive call in though. A little bit of skirmishing. Few units lost. Chieftain Mark 11 Command goes down. At this side. Tman making a push on this point. There's quite a lot of units there as well. Lathans will certainly do some damage, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to hold this. Motorstrike certainly taking a lot of punishment there. Yeah, don't make it into the point. T80 taking fire from the Milan. And the Challenger joining in. Stuck in a bit of a crossfire situation here. Challenger struggling to hit the mark, as is the Milan. Another miss for the Milan. Lathans pushing at the other side of the map as well. Swingers over this way. Laser guided bombers coming in to deal with the tanks. 2 laser guided bombers. Challenger Mark 2 goes down. Chieftain Mark 9 goes down. Good target choices. T80B's not in a bad position there. Managing to pick off bits and pieces. T80BV goes down at the other side of the map finally. Lathans makes progress. Manages to force a retreat by Tman. Should be able to cap this point now. But at the same time, Lathans having issues over at this side of the map. Tman still progressing. The BMP's in the forest there, managing to do a lot of damage to that tank. And the truth is, Tman has more infantry here and it's in a better condition. But yeah, the
+2 at the start was a big bonus for Tman. Lathans perhaps regaining a bit of control here. But there's still a few tanks to deal with at the top here. There's 2 T-80Bs and a BV has just arrived. And Lathans obviously lost 2 of his tanks pushing in. He lost the big Challenger to the laser-guided bomber, which is less than ideal. Tornado goes down. Lathans trying to do strafing runs on the AA there. T-80BV takes a nice hit from the Jaguar. Not enough to kill it, though. Over at this side, Challenger Mark II under pressure from the T-80BVs there. Gazelle rockets being brought in to try and kill the infantry. But Tman has a command in the point. Back to a +1, shortly a +2. Lathans hasn't moved his command tank into that top point yet. It's just sat here. He's trying to threaten the T-80s. He's also got the rover command back here, which he hasn't shifted. I think Lathans focusing on trying to exchange well at the moment. Gazelle rockets out of ammo already and being picked apart by the Motostrelki. I almost get the feeling that Lathans is just leaving them there as a sacrifice in hope the Motostrelki don't chase down the chieftains. Tman managed to make progress into this tree line as well, forcing Lathans further and further back. Finally, the command does go into that top point, but only back to a neutralization. Lathans never managed to get the +1 or +2. Over at this side of the map, Tman looking pretty good still. Those T-80s not looking great in terms of health, but they're still holding. Good use of the Challenger here could cause a lot of issues, though. Rifles arriving to engage the Motostrelki, which are being pulled back at the right-hand side of the screen. Over at the top of the map, T-80Bs take out a Milan 2. BV is partially repaired. There's another BV just sat here waiting, look. And look at that train of tanks coming in. 3 T-80Bs and a T-80BV. Jets coming in for Lathans now. Uragan preparing to fire again on something. HE bombers coming in. Going for a kill on that BV. Doesn't get it. Tman losing infantry in this little forest here. T-80B goes down the other side to the Harrier. Lathans certainly managing to take chunks off Tman, but with 11 minutes left, he's got a lot of points to make up. He doesn't have the map control. We're in a similar situation as the last game where Tman just didn't have the map control. And all of those tanks arriving up here when Lathans already looks on the back foot in this point. The command goes down. Now Tman does not have a command to go in this point, but he just controls the area. Uragan firing at the far side again. Trying to get some hits on the Challenger. Laser guided bomber coming in. Going for the Chieftain at this side, I think. Chieftain goes down, and the other Chieftain goes down to the laser guided bomber that was further behind. Laser guided bomber takes a hit, but will get out intact. A single challenger going to be remaining up here to defend that point. Certainly not going to be able to hold on to the point he took. And at this side of the map, Lathans has not exchanged well this game. It's just been a wall of blue losses again. Unfortunately, I think this game may already be over. 10 minutes left. Lathans moving his command back in here, but there's still a BTR-60 command for Tman. Rifles obviously falling apart in here. They're just simply outnumbered. This point does briefly switch hands. Finally, Lathans on a +1 and now a +2. But it's not going to be for long. Lathans bringing in Hell Arms up there. Just getting torn apart. And Tman can continue to hold the line. He's bringing in a command for the top of the map now. He's got a command coming in down here into Charlie. Chieftain Mark 11 command had a lucky escape from the ATGM there. Jaguar HE Bomber going in. HE Bomber coming in here, going for the command. Is being reversed out quickly by Tman, but it goes down anyway. 9 minutes left. And Tman controls the majority of the map. I suspect by the end of this game, it's going to look quite in Tman's favour as far as the kills to losses go. I'll be surprised if it isn't. Lathans making another attempt, and there we go. As we saw in that first game that Tman won, Lathans called in loads of units at the end. And he's done exactly the same, charging into that point. Lathans knows if he doesn't do something, the game is over, so he will try his best. But at the top there, Tman making his push onto that other point. Poor Lathans. Challenger Mark II goes down, simply outnumbered and outgunned. And I imagine we'll see that command move straight across. Obviously, the rover command there, not much help. And as I mentioned earlier, on this map, the supply lines are long. It's going to take a while for the Chieftain and the Warriors to get up here. And in the meantime, yeah, there's the surrender. Commiserations, Lathans. A hard-fought battle. Tman certainly in the lead in kills to losses there. Not massive, but certainly quite far ahead. Commiserations, Lathans. Very well played to Tman. Lathans won it last time. Probably Tman's turn to win it this time between the two of them. Chieftain Mark 11 doing well in that game. The Mark 11 command did well. And the Tornado got a few kills, but nothing too exciting. The most exciting was probably the command. Nothing too stand out in terms of kills on Tman's side, funnily enough. But yeah. It was just about the map control. And Tman had it. And obviously, as was mentioned in the chat there, the early gain of +2 for Tman just meant that he could sit and hold. He didn't have to be aggressive anywhere, really. He just had to hold the line. And it worked out in the end for him. But a great set of games again from these two. I would expect nothing less. Absolutely fantastic. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you as always for joining me. Please do like, share, subscribe. Remember to check out Tman down below, and I'll see you all soon.